Now, lifeadministration.com presents the Life Administration Podcast. Here are your hosts, Leslie Loftus and Ryan Taylor.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Life Administration Podcast. My name is Ryan Talon, and with me, as always, is
Leslie Loftus. Hello, everybody.
And it feels like we've done this before because we just did it about 10 seconds ago.
We did. We've gotten new mics. If you've noticed, for those of you who are viewing, the little pink pieces of paper that hold it in place are gone. And Ryan, the audio guy, says that there's no bleed.
Yes.
So anybody that's audio stuff knows what he meant.
So,
and I do explain it to me.
The simple term is that if before when you were listening, I'm doing my headphones now like this. I was like, I have headphones on. That I would mix the left and right. So I'm always on the left, like if you're watching the video, I'm always on the left, you're always on the right. So they come out those ears. And sometimes there would be just this bleed, which would be like an echo, right? And so it was just annoying me.
It annoys an audio guy. I don't think I ever heard it. But then again, once I started listening to the stuff after he mixed it versus what I would just randomly record, yes, now...
Yeah.
I can't explain why I like the stuff he mixes better, but I can say that I like it better. So we'll just run with that.
Yeah, we're going with it.
Yeah.
And it's
why
good.
I've got you.
Yes, that's why I'm here. It's not because of my good looks. All right, so we have a very important episode today that it's a sort of a fundamentals episode, I would say, right? So this is, we'll put this in the communication folder as far as what we're going to do.
And also the basics, because don't we have one about just 101 kind of basics?
Yep.
Yeah.
So this is ground level sort of stuff, but critically important. And let me tell you my struggle. Let me tell you my struggle. The struggle is real. The struggle is real. I'm not a good email person.
Lots of people aren't. And a matter of fact, if you're under 35, which you're kind of on the cusp there. Yeah. No. Email's not but it's what's used in the professional world.
Right.
And I don't see even that going away very often. So anyway, back to your struggle.
I gave up on the term zero inbox a long time ago. The reality is I get so many, and I think we all do, right? I get so many emails that I don't even bother sort of deleting them anymore. If you open up my inbox, I'm sure I have 10,746 emails that are unread. And I'm not exaggerating. Like that, I actually think that's
I
the
know
number.
exactly what you're talking about because two of my daughters, teenagers, actually are in a contest to see who can have the most emails in there because they do the same thing. They've gotten so many, they're trying to find out who can get the biggest email, which means they're not using it functionally at all. And then, oh, hello, something like a pandemic comes along and now they're doing schoolwork and they have to rely on email for some of their professional, for kids, school is their professional life. They need to rely on it and they can, because the exact same thing, to the extent that, so one of my daughters has an Uber account. She gets so many notices and so many emails that she had not noticed until I was helping her go through something on, I was teaching my own child how to do this life administration stuff. For a little over 4 weeks, somebody had hacked her Uber account and was taking rides about 2 a week for about 4 weeks.
No kidding.
But it was in her note. It was in, the email notices. Oh, thank you for the ride confirmations, all that kind of stuff. She didn't even see them because there's just a flood of stuff. And then she stopped looking at it. So when something important does come down, you can't find it. You can't deal with it. So that's what we're going to talk about today. How to set up your email so that you're not like Ryan and Peyton.
We got lumped into the same boat there.
I lumped you in with a 15-year-old girl. Woohoo!
So, I mean, it's to the point where I rarely do I use my phone. Like I go on to the actual web browser to check my email because it's just more efficient for me to scan through what might be important, right? And so,
and when we first started doing this, and I needed to email him various things because it just wasn't working through.
Don't email me.
No, he would tell me, text me that you've sent an email, so that I know to actually check my email and look for your email. Okay.
It sounds ridiculous now.
And now it sounds ridiculous, but you're not alone. That's why we're having this silly episode. You are not alone. And also, just as a matter of life administration principles, then you're getting 2 notices for the 1 email that I needed to send you. Everybody, this is a mess. If you happen to be in Ryan or my daughter's boat, this episode is for you. This is just the basics of how to set up your email, get it so it's somewhat sane so you can actually use it.
Well, yes. So now that I have just been crushed for the past 5 minutes, I think
sorry.
I deserve it. I do deserve it. I dislike email for a litany of reasons. But I do understand the importance of it. And I also understand that it is, in fact, the main form of communication in the business world for the most part. Anything that has any sort of weight or credence behind it should be done through email.
Right.
We've talked about why text messages absolutely fail there.
Right. They're conversational.
Yep.
So, having a quick conversation to set up where you're going to go for this coffee meeting or whatever else. Okay, maybe, but... 1, it's easier to make mistakes with text messages and say something that you didn't mean. It's easy to be too casual, which is one of the many reasons why email tends to be the professional one. Also, attaching things, all that kind of fun stuff on text, it gets to be clunky and you have to do a lot of scrolling, pain in the butt. So,
yes. Okay, so the rule of 3.
The rule of 3.
Where does that come from, first off? I mean, the rule of where does that come from?
Oh boy, are you sure your geek cred is pretty strong? But
no, I mean, okay. I could just be asking for other people.
Okay, this is true. So my kids like to watch retro TV shows, and so the one that they have been retro watching for a while is Charmed. And anyway, the rule of 3, and I'm sure there's lots of rules of 3 because 3.
Yes.
Yeah. No. That's just the one that was in my head when I actually made.
Got it.
But, So Charmed, that witches show with Shannon Daughtry.
Yep. Who gets recast like halfway through the series.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I've never watched an episode, but I do know that. And there's also like the gaming rule of 3. Like if you have to do a puzzle, there's always going to be 3 parts of the puzzle before you're
exactly. In writing, there's a rule of 3. So if you're going to get it, it's very rhythmic to give 3 examples. If you're giving a 4 example, so you either kind of do 1 or 3, but rarely 2 or 4.
Right.
In decorating, it's really more about odds. But so you're arranging stuff on the shelf. You tend to arrange it in 3, 5s, and 7s. So there's lots of rules of 3. But in fact, my geek self was thinking of Charmed.
Got it.
Yeah.
And you just placed that water so gingerly on the table to avoid any kind of noise. I'm so proud of you now.
I know. I'm getting so much better.
Yes. All right. Take it away. Rule of 3. 3 email addresses.
Right. So for those of you who are setting up your email for the first time, this is how you do it. For those of you who learned through, I have too many email addresses to count, but this is where I am aiming. Okay. 1 email address is your personal email address. So set up through Yahoo, Gmail, iCloud, whatever your preferred service is. But one of those main ones, so don't necessarily set it up for your phone company. So originally when emails became a popular thing, you might set it up through Southwestern Bell or AT&T. But then when you go off and you switch service to T-Mobile, then, you lose that right. So use one of the generic travel with you email services.
Right.
Usually these days that's going to be Yahoo, Gmail, or iCloud.
Yes.
This is your personal one. This is the one that you use to communicate with your friends and family. And, really, that's just. And
it's going to be a lot of times it's your login, right? For a lot of different programs and things like that. It's the one that.
Nope. Not your login. That's the point. We want to keep this one. This one is really just friends and family, the important stuff that comes through. Then you need a commercial email, a public email. This is the one you've bought some stuff at REI for your camping trip, and they need an email. You put your email on that. You're signing up for a gaming site, whatever. You put that. It's the public email, the one that's out. You sign up for Twitter with this one. You sign up for Facebook with this one. So it's all that. This one is probably going to get the most spam.
Got it.
Right? But hopefully it's got, you also know we'll get into that. We'll get into that in a second. All right. So you've got your personal email that's for friends and family. Your public email, again, set it up through one of those Gmail or iCloud kind of travel with you things. This is your public email for all of the stuff. Then you need to have a work email, and that one needs to be set up through your work or school. So if you get you're going to the University of Texas, you're going to get a utexas.edu email that you use while you're at the university. If you are working for Marathon Oil, you will get a Marathon Oil account that you use while you're working at Marathon Oil. And that's where, obviously, all of your work email goes and anything so that way you've got it easily segregated into personal correspondence, all of the commercial subscriptions, everything else that you use, and then your professional stuff. So that's the first rule of 3 is to separate all that out.
So let me ask you a question. Let's say you've had the same email since you were 22 years old.
Right.
And what's the plan to get out of the email the black hole? Like, do I just go and just set up a new email and do I need to go back and change everything? Do I sort of do it as time goes on? Like, how should I go about implementing the rule of 3?
Okay, so go ahead and choose what you want to do. You can choose to use the email that you've had for 20 something years.
Yep.
But since you've signed up with everything on that, you might want to say, okay, that from now on is my public email. So now I'm going to make another email that is my friends and family email. And now I'm going to notify my friends and family, by the way, this is the one that I use most often.
Right.
Now, this is when things, for those of us who aren't setting up our email for the first time, yes, this is when it gets kind of funky because I had blog emails, professional emails, school emails, 2 attempts at personal email. So like one of my friends about 2 years ago when I was finally getting this all sorted out was like, I have 10 emails for you. Oh, and while I was in England, so when we lived in London, there was another service called Gmail. So, and it was about the time that Gmail was starting to roll out email services over Hotmail. So if you signed up for an email account with Gmail while you were in the UK, you got a Google Mail, spelled out Google. Right? Now, it's the same thing. If you email me at Leslie Loftus Gmail or Leslie Loftus Google Mail, it's the same thing. But it's actually 2 different. So I had a blog email address with Google Mail and Gmail and a personal email address with Google Mail and email. I seriously have. I know exactly what you're talking. So you pick the 3 that you want. Okay. Usually I'm going to grandfather the one that's been in use the most and is already getting a ton of spam. I'm going to go ahead and grandfather that one in as my public email because it's already got the public stuff coming to it. And it's easier to divert my friends and family to, guys, this is my personal email now. Send it to this one so I actually see it.
Yeah.
And then add on, and then if you have, go ahead and set up a professional, so you're a freelance guy, right? So you would need to set up another. For instance, like we have the Life Administration website, you have Ryan at Life Administration. Now, the rule of 3 can get slightly, so you're a freelance guy like Ryan, and so you have your singing company with you and your wife. You might have a separate email for, so under professional emails, depending on how many professions you have these days in the gig economy, you might have 3 or 4 emails, but each school or profession should have its own email address.
Got it. Yeah, I mean, I remember when we first got together and I typed in L to type you in email and so many emails came up that my computer crashed. It was like, nope, we're done here. We're done. We give up.
Right. So part of it is you have to choose it.
Yep.
Then choose your scheme and go ahead and stick with it. Then you need to notify the people that need to be notified, usually your friends and stuff, say, please go ahead and delete those old Google email addresses. Go ahead and delete that one, Now here, then you go back in those old email addresses and you forward them based upon where you need them to go. So
what?
Okay. So let's, because you don't necessarily want to miss it. So let's say I'm cutting an email. So I don't have the blog anymore. I'm cutting the email address for the blog completely. And I've told people don't bother sending anything there anymore. But in case they get it wrong, or in case I've signed up for some newsletter service that I still want to get, I can go into the settings on that email and have it forward to the email, usually the public email. I'm going to go ahead and have it forward to that one.
Got it.
So that you don't miss it. Over time, at first, it is kind of a mess, and then you're getting lots of emails coming in from different email addresses. It does take a few months for all of this stuff to suss out. It does take a little while for your friends to get the right email address for you to start consolidating. There's a small period of time where you get double email. So like I have various subscriptions of newsletters that I want to receive. Well, when you do the forwarding thing and you switch it over to sign up to your new public email, for a little while you get two of them. Right? To switch this over is a bit of a pain in the butt. Like all things life administration, it takes some input at the beginning. It takes time. It takes some effort. The payoff is 6 months later when things finally get sort of streamlined.
Yeah.
At the beginning, it's a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Totally. Okay. So let's move on to the controlling of spam, because I
know.
That's all. That's my articulation. Please continue.
Okay. One, you've done a little bit of, by setting up your 3 inboxes, you have hopefully corralled most of your spam into your public email address.
Okay.
Okay. Now, once you have gotten it all there, when you first start to tackle your spam, again, we're talking hours of time. It's a pain because you really do need to go in individually, and as they come up, unsubscribe. Just get rid of the stuff that you don't actually need. Go down, scroll to the bottom. It's usually in little tiny grayed out language or grayed out words. Sometimes they try to make it inline. They make it a little bit difficult to find. There are now some rules about what's acceptable so that it has to be a little bit easier to find. By far the worst one, unsubscribing from the Urban Outfitters was...
You just got called out.
No, it was a pain. I could not find it. I mean, it was, and that's just... I'm used to looking for difficult to find. I'm not used to, I could not find it at all. It took like 4 or 5 email attempts of stuff coming in before I finally found an unsubscribe button. But most of them are required to have one now. So for instance, I use MailChimp for various newsletters. It puts an unsubscribe in automatically. Like if you're using the service, you can't.
Got it.
You can't delete an unsubscribe. If you're using the free service, you can't delete an unsubscribe. Yeah. So you know how many. So first of all, go ahead and delete the stuff in your inbox. Just clear it out. Because I mean, really, it's mostly like advertisement. You haven't seen it. Maybe look at the last week of stuff that you've got.
That's okay.
So look at a week of stuff. Keep that and tell it to delete everything else. Because there's no way you're going through all of it. You're going to catch the things that you want to unsubscribe from. You're going to start catching those as they come in. But dude, just start clean.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Questions?
Right. No,
questions?
I gotta breathe. Okay, because I sort of use my email. I'm falling on the sword here. I sort of use my email as if it's in my email, I know I can just search for it at any time. Email
search function. I'm trying to think of a good word to use here that's not too vulgar.
Let's just go with terrible.
It's terrible. It's terrible. And especially if you're running email like you described, if you can't remember who it was from and a key word, and even then, sometimes finding it is complicated. Oh my gosh.
No, it definitely.
No. So that's not a useful way. Just because it's in your email doesn't mean you're going to be able to find it.
And then I search for something. Like I had to provide a quote for a bunch of computers not that long ago. So it was like, okay, we're ordering all these computers. Can you give us a quote? I'm like, yep, no problem. I go in there and I was like, oh my gosh, it took me literally 20 minutes to find, because I email with this guy pretty often. And I mean, I'm scrolling. Next page. Oh, would you like our advanced feature email? Then I get a pop-up, right? And it's like, we can do this for you. Yeah, it's just, yeah, all right. It's a nightmare. Oh my gosh.
Breathe.
It's time. It does. It's
well, and this is why, because, okay, you needed to find the quotes for the computer. You got the quotes, and now you actually need the information, and you can't find it because it's buried in the pile of email.
Yeah.
It's like, people that had desks that back in the old days when we had paper, their desks were piled up in like cartoon style, and they would have to, well, I think I remember that piece of paper. Actually, I worked for somebody like this. That piece of paper is in that stack about halfway down, and then you'd go through and you'd kind of, until you'd find it, and then you'd pull it out. I mean, that's running this kind of email system that you've talked about. That is kind of the digital version of that.
So once upon a time when I was kind of good with email, I used to set up folders for things.
Yep. We're getting into that.
Okay. Exactly. We're getting into that.
But how did you set up folders? And I can run off that.
Yeah. So I typically set up folders. Well, I would have a folder for my boss. Then I'd have like a folder for every person that worked under me, like all the different stores. And then I would have folders for like emails that were going to all people. Right. So, I basically had like probably between 5 and 15, depending on like what job I was in at the time. Right. Somewhere around there.
Okay. And that's one way to set them up for somebody who has one job and works at one company and has a lot of reportees underneath, direct reports, right? So you set them up by your direct reports. I happen to know my husband at the law firm sets his up by cases and administrative stuff. So administrative stuff that just comes from the company, and then cases. And so as the emails come in, he either sticks them in that folder, or we'll talk about setting up rules in a second. I myself am think of it as like a volunteer gig economy kind of person. So I have a lot of volunteer jobs. So I have mine set up by organization. So whenever I get emails that come in, okay, this one is for ROCO, this one is for Pi-Fi, this one is for life administration stuff. Or actually, I don't have that one because I ended up starting to use the actual life administration email, because that's my professional email now, right?
Got it. Okay.
Right. So, but all of the other stuff, so I have an email block for the kids' school stuff. So everything that comes from the school goes into that folder unless it's just junk and I just want to trash it. So things like flyers that come from the school about, oh, hey, we have this new after school soccer program or whatever that is for fourth graders, and I no longer have fourth graders. So I'll throw away the stuff that I don't need at all. The stuff that I think I might need or I just want to keep for an archive, I actually keep quite a few emails. I tend to save more emails than I throw away in that spam and advertisements notwithstanding. I pretty much delete those instantly.
So I just want to tell you, I wanted to look something up in my email. This is just my unread email in my actual Yahoo box. And I'm not joking. It's 18,100. Yeah.
Just highlight all and delete.
I can't do it.
You gotta.
Okay.
There's no.
So talk to me about some of these apps that help manage spam, please. Because.
Okay. There are some. One of them that I have used is called Unroll Me. So again, it takes a few hours to set up, but it combs through your email box and it picks out the stuff anything that's a group email, and it asks you if you want to roll it up, if you want to unsubscribe from it, or if you want it to stay in your inbox. And by roll it up, it means that once a day at a time of your choosing, it sends you a listing of these are all of your rolled up items. So instead of getting 25 emails each from the individual company, you get a list of 25 emails that you can then quickly scan. Well, I actually am looking for some new sheets. So I do want to see that thing from the company. I do want to see that thing from the company store, but you haven't gotten all of those emails individually.
Yeah.
I've liked that one. I've used it quite a bit, but I have found I now tend to, if I need a coupon for something, I tend to Google for a coupon rather than looking. Right. And also I have my inboxes set up. We're getting ready to talk about rules, but I have mine set up that if I haven't archived it, if I haven't specifically saved it, it goes away in 30 days. So I only have a 30-day backup.
It's an expiration date.
It's an expiration date.
You can only live here for 30 days.
Right. You can only live in here for 30 days unless I have explicitly put you in another folder. And that way, if I want, it's pretty easy for me to find the latest coupon from the shops that I usually shop from within a 30-day, because they're always sending something, I mean, the slowest you can get most commercial entities to send you something is about once a week.
Right.
Right. And some of the best ones, when you go to unsubscribe, some of them will say, you want to unsubscribe. Other ones will say, do you just want to hear from us less? We're sending you something every day, but would you like something only once a week and once a month? I really love those, because actually I really do want to hear from you every once in a while, but goodness gracious, not every day.
Yeah.
Just,
Well, it's overload because then, you get so many things. Yeah, you get so many things. You just scan right through it, right?
Right. So the companies that actually ask me, would you just like to hear from us once a month with just kind of a roundup of what we're offering? Yeah, I would.
Yeah. Yeah. As a matter of fact, that sounds great. As a matter of fact,
that sounds about perfect.
Awesome. Cool.
Anyway, you can try some of those services. Now, one of the things and this is the way UnrollUp did it when I was doing it. So when you actually unsubscribe, they actually just put it into a junk email folder. They do it automatically. So it's like they basically create a rule. But then if you are switching over emails, which I was doing, and you don't use Unroll anymore, it turns out they never actually unsubscribed from those things. They were just hiding them from your inbox.
Got it.
So you had to go back through and do it yourself.
So you end up kind of doing it no matter what at some point.
It's kind of where I am at on that. Yeah. And especially if you find some companies that are willing to say, reduce the frequency of emails that I send, I'd go, just do it yourself.
Yeah.
Just do it yourself.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
In the long run, it'll probably pay off more for you time-wise.
Yeah. Because
in the short run, as you might be able to listen, this is hours to do this.
No, I tried doing this one time. And I think that I was relatively successful in that I got to the aspirational zero inbox, which we're about to go to in a second. But I mean, literally within a week's time, I was inundated again.
Yes.
And I just said, what's the point? Because I wasn't doing, like, I did the initial sort of culling, but then I didn't do the maintenance behind it. Something would come in. Oh yeah, I'll get to that later. Oh yeah, I'll do that when I'm ready. And I just didn't, unsubscribe.
Right. And also throwing things in the trash does no good if you haven't actually unsubscribed from the stuff. Right. Or if you haven't set up rules, which we're getting ready to get into, of how to put things in different places.
So, inbox zero.
Okay.
This is the email. Like,
this is kind of the holy grail. Lots of people talk about inbox zero. Basically, that you end every day with 0 emails in your active inbox.
Seems impossible.
It does seem impossible. And in fact, I'm going to tell you, just aim for it. Just aspire to it. Don't worry about whether or not you actually hit it.
Okay.
It's a very good North Star to aim to help you, but you can get too caught up on it, and then you're so worried about getting all of the emails out of your inbox. It becomes counterproductive if you get too wedded to it.
Right, because what happens is you get married to the zero, right? You
look
like that.
Precisely.
And you're like, oh, but it's not zero, and that causes other kinds of problems.
It causes stress. It causes you to rush some things. It causes you to delete some things that you probably shouldn't have. All that. Here at Life Administration, we want you to be affirmatively productive. So aiming for 0 inbox helps, but having the goal get in the way of, having some number goal get in the way of actual achievement doesn't work.
Don't let the perfect
get in the way of the good.
Yes.
There we go. Ryan really likes that.
I love that.
Ryan really likes that. Okay.
I sure do. So making rules.
So aim for 0 inbox. And one of the ways you can do this is by making rules. I don't know of an email program that doesn't offer this, but you can make various rules. So if you receive an email from this entity, put it in the trash. Or if you receive an email from that entity, it goes into that inbox folder. I'm just a pass-through person. Every time I receive that email, I don't actually read it. I just send it on to so-and-so. Then whenever that email comes in with that subject heading or from that Sometimes you can do it from the @ source. So if it's like a company email, okay, if it comes from this company, immediately forward it to so-and-so under me.
Can I say so? I got a 30-second commercial break.
Okay.
I can't stand I saw this article and thought of you and forwarded it, but then the person actually didn't read the article in the first place. And you go, you thought of me when you read this? Like,
okay,
what?
That's the automatic. So if I'm on the Houston Chronicle.
Sure.
And I'm reading an article and I click on one of their, because they'll have the little icons that say email this article. Mm-hmm. Okay. If I take the website address and I click the little share button on Apple, it's the little square with the arrow. If I click the share button, it comes directly from my email. So you just get the website address. And I can also choose if I want to send it to you in PDF format or if I want to send it in a website. But that is me sending the address, the web address to you. Okay. If I click on the bit that the Houston Chronicle has of like share this article.
Yeah, the little icon at the bottom.
Yes, they have preloaded text. And I don't know if the Chronicle actually has this specific text.
Right, we're just using them as an example.
I'm just using this as an example because this is very common in publishing.
Sure.
I thought you'd be interested in this article. Okay, they do the share things because only if you share by that button can the Chronicle tell that you shared it. If I just shared the website thing, oh gosh, no, it's not called dark web. It's called, oh goodness gracious. It's something like dark stats or whatever. So they know they're getting hits on that article, but they can't tell where they're coming from.
You don't know where it's coming from.
Right, because I've emailed somebody else the site.
Like the referral, as it were. Where is it coming from?
Right. They can't see the referral. And so if I've done that on email or if I've done that by text, they can't tell, which is why they put the little icons there. And then they have the preloaded text, and some of it is cheesier than others. Oh, I thought of you while reading this. Or, I thought you'd like this article. Yeah.
You did
Honestly,
not.
That's why I always share by the website icon because I hate that stupid text.
Right.
I'm sorry to all of the publications that are trying to keep track of where stuff goes, but
you're ruining friendships. Yeah. You're ruining friendships. Okay, so back to making rules. Right. So we sort of covered a couple. Are there any other major rules? One of the ones that I always liked, and this was the professional side of me, is, hey, I'm on vacation.
Absolutely. That's a rule, temporary rule you would make. Oh gosh, what's it called? Vacation settings?
I don't. Out of office, remember. I think.
Out of office, yes. So everybody's gotten those out of office emails before. Mm-hmm. I think they even have made, or at least some platforms have made them now a little bit more sophisticated. So they only send one out of office instead of every time somebody replies or whatever, you get another.
Then you respond back, I know you're on vacation, but and then you get emailed back. And
most people know now that that's an automatic email that's not. Don't bother responding to that. So you can turn on out of office settings. You can turn on your do not disturb settings. So you have certain times that it doesn't notify you. You can forward emails. You can delete emails. You can stick emails into just a pending or a flagged. I actually have that inbox. So I have, for my inboxes, I have everything organized by category. And then I just have a general pending one. Some people use the little flags for those. Mm-hmm. So they might flag an email saying, okay, I need to get to that sometime in the next day or so, but I can't get to it right now. It needs my attention again. Mm-hmm. I like to, because I'm kind of aspiring to inbox zero, I have a separate folder called pending, and I just drag emails over into pending. And then once a day, or actually sometimes it's just about 2 or 3 times a week, I go in and I check the pending file and make sure I've dealt with the stuff that is in that pending file.
Got it. So then this one I actually have no idea about at all. Making topic inboxes.
Oh, that's what we were just talking about. Right. So
that sounded like we were talking about rules.
No. I've just had it slightly set up differently, but you already pinged me on the making the inboxes. But yes, my inboxes are arranged by topic. Yours were arranged by direct reports.
I was calling folders.
Or lawyers
folders,
are
inboxes, interchangeable sort of thing. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Lawyers or accountant might be arranged by clients. Excuse me.
Yep.
It kind of depends on your own life and your own work schedule, your own work environment, how you might want to arrange those inboxes. But That's what that was about. Yeah. So get things into their categories so that, well, when you need to find the quote from the computer company, you were doing that quote for church business. And so you know to go to your church file.
Yep. And so I think, the moral of the story here is email is so much more than compose, send, delete, and that's it.
Right.
There's so many facets to it. And this is one of those things that the more that you dive into it, the more you're going to say, wow, actually, like my email can do this. Oh, actually, it can do this. I had no idea it could help me organize whatever, invitations, parties, lists, all sorts of things. So I think you got to spend some time up front. Like we talked about. Guys,
I'm going to tell you, this is a pain in the butt if you're setting it up from scratch, then do the rule of 3 inbox or the rule of 3 emails, like I told you, and set up your inboxes and go ahead and do that from the beginning. Not so painful. If you're trying to retrofit this onto, because you've been using email for 20 years and you have 18,000 in your inbox, it's a pain, but it's only a pain for a few months. And then it's like, I can use my inbox, my email this way. I can actually use it to store information. Oh gosh, shoot, what was the day that we needed to have that in? Okay, this is an NCL. I go right into NCL. I find, and then in that I search for the person that that the email was from.
Yep.
And better yet, I know it was in the first week. I can usually find the information I need now in a matter of a few moments.
Yeah.
Rather than 20 minutes looking for one computer quote. But yeah, it was a pain.
I'm having this vision of like doing a vlog about this. Like, okay. I'm not saying I'm doing it. let's be clear. This is like, this would be a great idea, but the execution is like, okay, I sit down, 18,000 emails, and I start like sorting it all out. And then the camera cuts and it's like 3 months later, I have like this big beard. You know what I mean? Just like, I finally made it. I haven't had any water or food for 4 months.
You're wasting away.
I'm just a mess.
You look like Rip Van Winkle.
Yeah, just awful. That's the vision. That's what the mountain feels like to me. To climb that.
Okay, it's not that bad. It is not that. Honestly, the hardest part of it is going through, and after you've done the initial unsubscribes, that's a pain. Keeping up, because I just did this. Yeah. Why do I have to keep doing? And it's amazing how, because a lot of them will have certain systems where, okay, you've unsubscribed, but it actually doesn't, they only reboot their system or refresh their system every 5 days. So you still get their emails for another 3 days.
That's where I gave up. That I can specifically remember that happening where I hit unsubscribe.
Yes. And that's what they do to wear you down.
And it was from Express, I want to say. And it was Lauren's thing. Like I went to go buy her something. You know what I mean? They were just hitting me nonstop. And I said, unsubscribe. And then the next day, another one came in. And I unsubscribed again. And then what's the point? Like, right. They own me now. They officially commandeered my inbox.
And out of those 18,000 emails, they might be 10,000 of them or something like that. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, then it's just like everybody
wins. Are they out of
wins.
business now?
No.
No, not yet.
No, not yet. No, because they're the limited company, right? So like they're Victoria's Secret, they're
all of toppling.
What?
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure if they're not bankrupt, because I think Victoria's Secret did declare bankruptcy even before the pandemic stuff.
I don't know.
I'd have to look that up. But anyway,
different podcast.
Anyway, it is not a business model that is working well for them at all.
Clearly, they're the unsubscribing of the
right.
emails.
And to any company people that are listening to this right now, that kind of email spam business policy, I hate it. It will make me, unless I just have to have there's some specific item that you have that I can get nowhere else, that will get me to stop using your company.
Yeah, brute force is not welcome here.
Nope.
Any closing thoughts?
Just do it.
Just do it. Okay.
Trust me, just do it.
I'm gonna have a report, not next episode, but the episode after that. Okay. So, well, guys, thank you so much for being with us today. You can find me at Ryan Talon. This is on Twitter, of course. RyanTaillon. Leslie, where can they find you?
I am on Twitter occasionally as well. Leslie Loftus Text, TX. And then I'm also running our Pinterest boards for show notes and links, which is Life Administration. And then I'm on the website monitoring that stuff.
Yes. And if you're listening to us on Google Play, Spotify, iTunes, a 5-star rating would be much appreciated. And if you're listening to us on YouTube, hit that thumbs up button, hit the subscribe button, share with your friends, but only if they really would be interested. Only if they're really interested. That all helps us out a ton.
No spamming friends.
Yeah, no spamming friends. Other than that, I have been Ryan Talon.
And I have been Leslie Loftus. It's been a pleasure, everybody.
And you have been awesome.